I love my holidays.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not going to be going on holiday and checking my emails all the time and dealing with inquiries and all these things. So while I'm away, can the business still run without me being there? Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about systems and processes, the importance of having those in your organisation. And today I am joined with a lovely guest, Tobi Akinfenwa. Tobi, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Tobi Akinfenwa of TA Consults on Instagram and tobiakinfenwa.com. I'm an operations and projects manager, and to be honest, this is my thing. I love all things systems, processes and the likes, but aside from all of that stuff, I'm also a wife and a mother of a very, very energetic 1-year-old. I was going to say 2, but
beautiful 1-year-old. That looks exactly like you.
Everyone says, oh, she's your twin, she's your twin.
Literally like copy and paste.
But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And thank you for having me today, Christian.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming, because I know that this is something you specialise in. I thought it'd be really good to have you on here to just speak about it. So, I mean, when we talk about systems, let's even just define what we mean when we say systems. Mm-hmm. What would you define it as?
A system. So I'm gonna use the term process as well, but we'll come back to that. So a system will basically hold a set of processes.
Right.
It's really just a construct that holds various processes, and it's a construct within something that enables something to work.
I like that. I mean, even just to build on that, in terms of when we talk about various processes, essentially it's how you the steps that you take to basically achieve something, the steps that you take to be able to put something together or do something within your organisation. Mm-hmm. And so then having that maybe written down somewhere, that's how you know, okay, you've got your processes in order. What would you say, or why would you say it's important to have systems and processes in place when running an organisation?
I think it's so important. I'm gonna come at it from a different angle. And one of the reasons why I do what I do is larger organizations really benefit from understanding what their various systems and processes are. And I think that when you start a business, your focus is largely on like just getting the product done or getting the service done. A lot of people find themselves in a lot of like business overwhelm. And so why I would say that systems and processes are important is, number one, it gives you a level of clarity. Mm-hmm. It gives you a level of organization, which is absolutely necessary like within a business. And I understand there does come seasons and times within the business where it's like everything is happening all at once. Mm-hmm. But even if everything is happening all at once, if you can define a thing and you know what is what, and that I would call your processes. If you know, for example, let's say, I'm so bad at examples, but let's say you are selling jumpers or whatever the case may be, and you're using, for example, like Shopify, for example, you know that, okay, all of your orders are being processed through Shopify. You already know that within that system, Shopify, you've got maybe like integrations with PayPal or X, Y, and Z, and it makes it easier for you to kind of know what is happening and when. It gives you the opportunity to build with the understanding that you can't do this thing alone. And so why I think it's so important to define your processes is so that it makes it easier for when, oh, okay, I now need a VA, or now I need a PA, for example. It's so much easier for them to come in if you have documented them, and that's kind of like the work that nobody really wants to do. But then once you've documented that, then that is the foundation for you creating something that we would call like standard operating procedures, right? And it makes it so much easier for somebody to come in and just kind of glide straight in. As well as that, I think the last thing that I would say is that the importance for it is it makes you come face to face with like the reality of what is and what isn't working.
Yep,
and I think sometimes we don't want to think about that. We don't want to know that something isn't working, because we just want to we just want to make money and we just want to make our customers happy. But the fact of the matter is, like, sometimes you might just be doing something in a way that is just not connecting with your customers. So
I love that you said that, because I think one important thing about having systems and processes in place is that it actually enables you to understand some of the redundant tasks that you're doing.
Yes.
So you might have been doing something a certain way, and when you put it down, like document it, you think, oh, actually I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. I actually only need to do 1 and 4.
Yeah.
And so it helps you to also work smarter.
That's it.
Because I mean, I'm all for working hard, but you need to work smart. Like, it doesn't have to take you 3 hours to do something. If it can take you 30 minutes, then do that. I think also when it comes to having systems and processes in place, I think for me, for example, in type of businesses that I run, it's important for me because of it allows me to deliver a certain level of consistency.
This is it.
So, for example, when it comes to like sales, you know that, okay, from inquiry stage up until delivery, this is how it's done and this is how it works. So each customer is getting that standard level of customer service. I think similarly with when it comes to like your marketing, the way you do things, procurement, what you say you have vendors, how do you order it, you know, how do you manage your finances and your accounting, your invoices, all of these things. It actually really helps you to have that know-how and enable you to be consistent. But I think even what you said about if you then need to hire a PA and then allows them to go, I think that's really important as well, because I say to business owners all the time, it's not just about you in terms of, can the business actually run without you being there? Like, for example, I love my holidays, and I know that I'm not going to be going on holiday and checking my emails all the time and dealing with inquiries and all these things. So while I'm away, can the business still run without me being there? Because trust me, I've done that. I was on holiday and I just couldn't enjoy my holiday because of that. So it's like, okay, can the business run without you being there? For example, you had a baby. Like, if you need to go on maternity leave, can you do that? Can you leave the business knowing that, okay, the way and the standard in which you ran the business, it will continue to run in your absence? This is it. But only when you have those systems and processes in place for the people who are doing it in your absence to be able to then deliver it to that standard. So I feel like we probably don't understand the importance of it enough, but it's so key to have that when you're running an organisation. Absolutely,
it's so important. And I think even the thing of, like, you know, the business, like, being able to run without you. I think that could definitely be hard sometimes, like, for, you know, a business owner, because for the person who likes to kind of have their hands in everything, that can be really hard. But I think you would find that when that time then comes where you do take a holiday, or maybe you do just need to, there's an emergency and you kind of need to take your hands off the take your foot off the gas for a moment, that's when you will then know, like, yes, you can have somebody, but, and this is a completely different conversation, but also knowing how to manage that as well is really important. Because if you're somebody who you're so used to kind of having your hands in the pie all the time, the moment you have to take it out, like, it can be so hard to kind of like let go and let things run. And that might actually be the test that you need to see, okay, like, how well can this thing actually do without my hands, you know, being in the pie or my foot on the gas. And just thought I'd insert.
I mean, I love that you said that, because I'm a bit of a control freak and a bit of a perfectionist, so I trust me, when you were saying that, you were speaking to me. But the thing is, I think also it's important to know how to, like, once you've got these systems and processes in place, allow your employees to kind of run with that, and also give room for them to make mistakes. This is it. Because, for example, they're doing something, you're like, okay, and then you just want to take it over and just, you know, don't worry, let me just do it. But actually, no, allow them to do that. Let them take ownership of that part of the work, because that's what you've hired them to do, that's what you're paying them to do. And it also gives them room to be innovative and creative in how they do things. And then it can also open the door for you to see that actually there's a better way of delivering this. Although we have this process in place, this person has taken ownership of it and has found more creative, quicker, smarter, better ways to deliver this, so we can change that process. So yeah, I mean, I love that you said that.
Yeah, and just to bounce off of that as well, with the creative piece, because that's something I'm quite passionate about as well, in terms of, like, you know, entrepreneurship and creativity. Because for me, the way I see it is you started what you started out of creativity. Like there was an idea that you had and you saw it to be possible, hence the reason you began to do what you began to do, right? And I really don't want people to think that you putting processes in place and having systems means that your creativity is being stifled. Like that's not what it is. But with that being said, like you mentioned, when you do have somebody else on board, or even with yourself, like, you know, shameless plug, but I have a course coming out, and something that I mentioned in that is like, look, be okay with your processes being flexible, because there might come a time whereby, and this has happened to me so many times, I'm like, okay, I know I'm doing things this particular way, but something just isn't clicking with me right now, or it's almost like it's becoming mundane, you know? So let me just take a moment, step back, and I would kind of like free rein it. I would just kind of just go with the flow and see what happens. And in that, I'm kind of allowing myself to, whatever sort of ideas come to me in that time with regards to maybe how I'm delivering what I'm delivering, or maybe how I'm delivering what I'm doing, or just making my work a lot more easier. I just let those ideas flow. So having processes in place doesn't necessarily mean that this is what it is, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my business career. Like, absolutely not. Like, your creativity is king. Like, let that flourish, let that thrive.
Yeah, I love that. So I was, doing a bit of research, and I saw that you posted something about like 3 types of processes, and I thought it would actually be really good if you could share it on here in terms of just educating people on what those 3 types of processes are. Sure.
So you have your core processes. So your core process is basically like your money maker. Your core process is basically what would it's the process that basically helps you to bring revenue. So for example, I'll go back to I'm so bad with examples. I'll go back to the person who sells jumpers, for example. So your core process, and by the way, you can have other processes underneath that one, right? So your core process might be, for example, like the sales process, for example. So I use the example of Shopify, which I must say I've not used Shopify before, but I just know that that's a very popular platform that a lot of people use. And so with that, it's looking at from even before Shopify, from you gaining your customers, to how your customer will complete a sale, to even after sales as well, because it doesn't just end with the sale. So you've got that, and then you have your management process, which is how you work. So there will be times where, this is something that, I'm not gonna lie, it's not an easy thing when it's just you, but you have to understand that there are times where you are working like on the business, and there are times where you kind of have to like step back and see how you're working as well, and see how you're working and how you're doing everything. And then the last process are supporting processes. So supporting processes, they basically enable and aid your core. So let's go back to the person that sells jumpers, right? So your supporting process would be accounting, because as people are buying, money is being made, but then you also need to make sure that when money is being made, money is being allocated in the correct way, that you're putting money aside for tax, because we have to pay our tax. So that would be like an example of a supporting process. And amazingly now, there are so many apps that, you might not know that you have a supporting process, but there are so many apps that help with that. So if you, for example, use a lot of these like fintech banks, like Tide or Starling Bank, and there are other ones. I don't use Starling, but I'm about to switch because, I don't use Starling, but I know that with Starling they have a dashboard that will help you to see your revenue, your income, your outgoings, and it would have integrations with things like QuickBooks, for example, which is amazing, or any sort of accounting software that you can use to kind of help you see what exactly is happening. So I hope that makes sense, but those are the three core.
It really does, thank you. So we've kind of spoken about like, the importance of systems and processes and having them. Can you just give us some examples of ways that people can actually systemize their businesses?
Yeah, sure. So I think first thing is first. For me, everything starts with a review. And with the review, and I know we want to talk about this a bit later, but with the review, a review always starts with a goal and it ends with a goal. So when we're talking about systemizing your business, I typically ask people, so if somebody says to me, oh, you know, I'm really just thinking of using X, Y, and Z platform or whatever the case may be, my question to you would be, okay, so where is your business going? What are you expecting out of your business? Because once you know what your goals are, and you might have that within a business plan, you might have that within maybe like quarterly goals, then you would know what you need to start systemizing your business. Right. So for example, I might have a particular goal where let's say you're a content creator. So let's say you're a content creator, for example, right? You might be managing 5 different pages, right? And your goal is to have, or to be posting twice daily on all of those 5 pages. Now that sounds a bit mad, right? But it's doable. It is doable. But that means you're going to have to find something, a particular system that is going to help you deliver on those goals. So I would then say, okay, now you have to then start doing your research in looking at what do they call these sort of platforms, like publishing, like
the ones that you can post.
Scheduling.
Oh yeah.
To schedule platforms and stuff. So then you begin to do your research. You would then have to sit back and say, okay, how am I going to work to be able to do this? But I would say the key thing that it starts with is understanding where you're at and understanding like what your goals are, and then going from there to then understand what is going to work best for you.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, let's talk a bit more about reviews then. Because I feel like reviews are so important. There's been times where I've started working in an organisation and you know they're letting me know how they do certain things and what their processes are like, and I'm like, okay, why do we do it like this? And they're like, oh, just because that's how we've always done it, or that's how we've been doing it for the last 5 years or 10 years, or what have you. Okay, but this isn't the smartest way to do it. This isn't the best way to do it. There's easier, more convenient ways of doing it to achieve that goal, or better ways of doing it. So I think even just in terms of my business, just sitting back and reviewing, and it's up to you how often you want to do your reviews, right? You can do it every quarter. That's what I try to do. Some people do it every year, some people do it every month. Whatever works for you, but actually looking at how you're doing, how are you achieving those goals? Is there a better way of doing things? But I think also, social media is the best example for this, because if you have a business page on Instagram, you can literally just view your insights. Because I do this quite a lot, where like there's a certain type of content that I'll post, but if I feel like if I review it and see, okay, these are the stats, it's not really getting that much engagement, then okay, maybe this isn't working, we can try something else. Not being too hell-bent on, okay, this is how we're doing it, this is what we're doing, because reviews actually give you the opportunity to be able to assess how you're doing, where you're doing, and how you're able to achieve your goals with that. So just to hear from you in terms of reviewing and why you think it's important.
Reviews are so important, and I think it's kind of a bit underrated in a sense. I actually did a short video on this recently, and one of the reasons I feel reviews are important, as you've kind of alluded to already, is it will help you to kind of see, number one, because I believe everything you do should be driven by some sort of goal. It will kind of help you to see where you're at with that goal. So if you want to take it back, for example, if you're currently in a 9 to 5, if you've worked a 9 to 5 before, you would know, and if you were like a permanent staff, right, you would know that staff reviews were always a thing.
Yeah.
So whether that was mid-year reviews or like quarterly reviews or whatever the case may be. And in that, you know, with those reviews, sometimes depending on your manager, they'll kind of make it seem like it's all about you, but actually it's also a reflection of how well they're also managing the team. And then it's also a reflection like company-wide as well, like, okay, you know, with our particular like KPIs, how are we doing? Like, is staff morale, you know, on par and stuff like that. And so I'll leave processes for a moment. Like, I think it's important for you as a person, like the person who is running the business, you know, in you doing your reviews, you can think about, actually, like, how has my approach been with the business recently? You know, if maybe in the last 3 months, you know, things have been a bit, it's almost like you're dragging your feet all the time. It's becoming really, really hard. It's taking a moment to step back and say, why is that? You know, and what can I put in place to kind of make sure that that doesn't happen anymore? And then if we're talking about reviewing processes, my goodness, that is absolutely important, because guess what? Your business is always growing, and as your business grows and as you grow too, things change. You know, things change all the time. We have different, we have obviously, you know, different seasons in terms of like weather, like summer, spring, winter, autumn, etc. And you have to know that, okay, you know, within each season, like there's something new that comes with it, and even just in life. And so it's taking that moment to say, okay, where am I at right now? And are these processes aligned with where I'm at and where I'm trying to go? So yeah.
I love that. I think just one other thing about reviews is that it also gives you the opportunity to be innovative.
Yeah.
Because it's like you review it and then actually you're like, you know, how can we build on this? Or, you know, what creative way can we do this? Or, you know, but I think, you know, what's the word? What was I going to say? I was going to say, like, you know, review, innovate, create, you know, all these things, they kind of go hand in hand. But I think we've kind of spoken a lot about this already, so I think we've kind of covered everything, to be fair. Thank you so much for coming today and educating us on the systems and processes. Is there anything you'd like to add?
To be honest, I just want to encourage, you know, you that, you know, if you have started a business recently, you know, it's not always an easy road, but just continue. Try and find a way to kind of pause. Sometimes it's not the most cutest thing to do in terms of mapping out your processes, but it would really, you'll benefit from it in the long run. So,
definitely. Thank you so much. So where can they find you?
You can find me on my website, tobiakinfenwa.com. You can also find my business page, which is TA_consults. And then my personal page is Tobi_Akinfenwa.
Lovely. So guys, if you need any operational help, she's your girl. Let her help you systemize your processes. All right. Thank you.